Hello and welcome to It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi on Megapix Media. Joining me today is Vince Aliberti, who is an author of the new book, Soulful Leadership. Thanks for joining us today, Vince.
A true pleasure, Mario.
All
True
right.
pleasure.
Thank you. Let's start with the book itself. What is the book about? Just give us a little bit of a summary of that.
One of the things that I've encountered in my life is a tremendous amount of ups and downs, like anyone else, right? And this book is really about finding a way to really achieve serenity, equanimity, right? And inner peace. And the one thing that I realize is you don't have to be a gladiator. Every single person on this earth is a hero in their own right? And I just wanted to provide some tools and techniques that would enable them to reach that serenity, equanimity, and peace in their daily lives, because everyone deserves that. That's about it. And it really equips people with those tools and techniques to enable them to do that. Yes.
So tell me, I guess, just a little bit about the history behind it, of why you felt it was important at this particular time to write this particular book.
That's a great question, Mario. One of the things that I realized in COVID-19 is that you had people that were less impacted with COVID-19 than others, and others that were just impacted to the greatest extreme possible. And they didn't even know how to cope with this change. The fact of the matter is, whether you work at Tim Hortons, whether you work in a multinational organization, change happens at every moment of every single day. And one thing that I realized is that if COVID happened in, let's say, one isolated country, right, we would keep on living our life the way we've always lived. Then I realized that because it was so global, it reached our level of awareness. If it didn't reach our level of awareness, we would have just ignored it and just kept on doing what we needed to do. And I looked at how people dealt with change, how people dealt with volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity in their life. And this book provides the tools, spiritual and non-spiritual tools, to deal with any given situation that you're presented with in a very practical way. Like for me, it's all about spirituality first and foremost, God and connecting with my higher power, and then taking the next right step accordingly. For other people, they may not necessarily be more spiritual, but there are tools in there that enable them to connect with themselves and themselves and act accordingly and live their life accordingly. Yeah. So the whole point is that pre-COVID, during COVID, and even post-COVID, there will be a post-COVID, it equips people with all these tools and techniques, practical tools and techniques that will enable them to do the next right thing in their life. And that's why I wrote the book, because every single person, from my vantage point, is their own hero, and it's their journey that they're going through in their life.
Yeah. Exactly. And before I forget, Vince, where can people get the book?
Actually, Amazon.com. You can go get the book. It's actually in Kindle format as well as the paperback. It should be there today, and it's a simple read. And just buy it, see what you think, and go from there. And provide a review if you can.
Okay, so Vince, just for our viewers, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
This is quite interesting. I'll make this very quick. I was very fortunate. I'm perspiring even as I say this, that I was actually brought up in a home, loving parents. My mother was a schizophrenic. My father, a loving man, worked very, very hard. I started drinking at a very young age, and I ended up getting a soccer scholarship, played semi-pro at a very young age, 17, and graduated at the age of 22 from Oakland University. Worked in the automotive assembly line, did my master's, did my PhD, still drinking, and then I worked in Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit for large global organizations. I've worked on the automotive assembly line. I've been an executive. I've worked for for-profit organizations. I've worked for non-for-profit organizations as an executive director. So I see the gambit from a multi-dimensional, multi-industry perspective across the scale, from whether you're working on the automotive assembly line to being an executive of an organization. And what happened was that, bottom line, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I haven't drank in many, many, many years. But through that, it taught me how to be extremely resilient. Not too much phases me anymore. And actually, it was the catalyst behind the scenes for me to write this specific book, because I consider myself a hero in that regard, in the way I dealt with specific situations in my life that most people would have taken their life. And I know that for a fact, given the people that I've spoken to over the years. And because of that, I realized that, you know something, I'm not perfect, and it's okay. I realized that I can forgive people. I can love myself. But what exactly helped me through my journey, whether being downsized, working for these organizations and so forth, being a father, my higher power, in my case, right, was extremely crucial. Like for other people, they call it source, they call it whatever they want. Do what works for you. But for me, it was really my God, Jesus Christ, and so forth. And that enabled me to really be at peace. Because of that, one thing that I realized is that out there'll always be noise. There'll always be challenges. It's all the way we scrub our glasses and see the world. And in order to see the world in the best possible way, you really have to go internally. And by writing this book, I realized that I'm a very loving person, a very compassionate, kind person. I still get things done. I'm very outcome focused, but the way I approach things is totally different. I know how to control my ego, or not control, but work with my ego.
Yeah.
Because everyone has an ego. And what I realized is that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to love yourself, to forgive yourself. And what happens is that by doing that, you really have a different perspective, scrub your glasses, and see life in the best possible way, rather than seeing it as a war. You flow more with life rather than resist it. And that's the background, the true catalyst of why I wrote the book, because it provides me a way to give people the tools to find that inner peace, so that they could live a life in a more serene, equanimous, and peaceful way.
Do you think, Vince, people spend so much money and time and effort on the physical part of themselves, right? So they, got gym memberships, the food you eat, everything, the medicine you take, and all that type of stuff. But the soul is something that they neglect. Do you find that that a lot of people, really need to start focusing on their soul?
I believe that it's important we have to live in this world. So it's important, you need money, right? You need a shelter. You need to take care of a job to pay the bills and so forth, to live your life. You need to work out, and there's nothing wrong with material things. There's nothing wrong with working out and actually, working on your body and so forth, and exercising. And it's good, right? You want to be as healthy as possible. But the fact of the matter is that most people neglect the inner part of who they are. And they're so ego focused. They may be focused solely on their job, they may be focused on their family, they may be focused on whatever, that they neglect the most important thing, what I perceive to be the most important thing,
Yeah.
themselves, right? I am busy, I need to do this, I need to do this, or this. Listen, brother and sister, we're all busy.
Yeah.
And the word busy is overused. And the fact of the matter is that by looking internally and being kind and compassionate and loving to yourself, by understanding who you really are, what makes you tick, by connecting to your higher power and then acting accordingly, it's a beautiful thing because you live life on your terms, regardless of what happens. So, yes, it's great to work on yourself physically, to look good physically, and that helps from a health standpoint. And some people have to take medicine simply because of my mother had to. Again, she was schizophrenic, a lovely, lovely lady, and that's okay. But at the same token, focus on the inside because the inside is something that the majority of people neglect. And because they neglect it, they really, really hurt, and especially in very turbulent times. Yes.
Yeah, and do you think one last thing, Vince, while we're right onto this, when you're looking at the neglecting your soul, neglecting your inner self, there's eventually a price to pay, isn't there, for that?
Oh, Mario, that question is so powerful. There is a tremendous price to pay, and there's one thing that I realize is that the majority of people are not present. They either focus on the past, what they experienced, and I used to do this as well, right? My mother's this, my father's this. I grew up here and there. Past is the past. I had to get over that. Get over yourself, Vince. And it's a thinking thing, right? It's the mindset. And it's always being able to scrub your mindset rather than having your mind being a garden of weeds. It's a garden of flowers, right?
Yeah.
So, or there's nothing wrong with the future and having goals and aspirations and acting accordingly. But the fact of the matter is the future's not here yet. Just focus on the present. It's what I realize is the majority of people are not focused on the present, and they're so caught up in their own ego, in their own world, and their own self-importance that what happens is that they neglect what's truly important, themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now.
Super. Well, Vince, that was a pleasure talking to you as always. Thanks very much for doing this.
Oh, Mario, I very much appreciate this. It's a true pleasure, and may you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I love that background, by the way.
Thank you very much. That was Vince Aliberti, who is an author of the new book, Soulful Leadership, which can be found on Amazon. This has been It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi on Megapix Media. Thanks for joining us today.